1, a 2, a 1.
It's time for the Better Horses Radio Show. So let's saddle up and ride as we explore the Western way of life, horses and cows, family and friends, a relationship with the land, and a relationship with God. It's all here on Better Horses Radio. Now let's hit the trails with the Better Horses team.
Welcome to Better Horses Radio. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we are your hosts for this week to talk all about the equine industry. Merle, thank you for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me back again this week.
You know, I think we're going to make it. You know, this is going to be an exciting show. We're going to have lots to talk about, and we're going to be talking about a lot of great events coming up, like the 2024 Color Breed Congress coming November 1st through the 9th in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. And we got the COO on with us today, so look forward to that segment.
You know, I got to tell you, we're going to start it off with our own Seth Marshall at Marshall Performance Horses. Now, Seth has been training and showing for over 20 years. And Merle, you and I get to talk about a discipline we normally don't get to highlight on this show. And this is going to be working equitation.
Yeah, it's very interesting for me. I hadn't heard of that before, and he's going to tell us kind of what's expected. Also join us today is Levi Swafford, a wrangler from Briscoe, Texas, who played a key role in the Smokehouse Creek fire earlier this year. The fire burned over 1 million acres, making it the second largest wildfire in U.S. history.
You know, I don't think we realize over 10,000 head of cattle suffered and died in that fire. And what we're going to do is get an update of how the entire panhandle state of Oklahoma and Texas have rebounded from that fire from a guy who actually was there and fighting the fires themselves.
Yes.
And more importantly, as we just mentioned, the 2024 Color Breed Congress, we're going to have on board with us the COO of the Pinto Horse Association, the Executive VP, Daryl Bilkey. We're also going to be coming with Jenna Henson, the Director of Marketing and Communications, and Kim Hall, who's the Executive Assistant of the World Show Operations, talking over all the judges and the logistics of the Color Breed Congress.
We've got a great show.
So first, before we get started, as always, we're going to throw it to our own Mark Alpold talking about Better Cattle. Mark?
Well, Ed, we're going to begin this edition of Better Cattle by giving a shout out to our college students, those who were attending the World Dairy Expo in Madison, Wisconsin this week. They had a dairy cattle judging contest to kick off the expo, and the winner was the University of Minnesota. So we know we have a lot of listeners, viewers up in Gopherland, but University of Minnesota. And in fact, I think they're repeat winners from last year's competition. Number 2 was the University of Wisconsin, Iowa State University. So our land-grant universities standing tall in here. Iowa State came in 3rd, and Purdue University coming in the 4th position. So again, congratulations. That's about 100. In fact, I think that's the 103rd year of the World Dairy Expo in Madison, Wisconsin. We don't talk about dairy cattle, obviously. Better cattle, normally feeder cattle and live cattle, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But I want to give a shout out and the great dairy cattle that we produce in this country as well. Also, since we begin now this 4th quarter of the year, I keep track of about 48 different commodities. These are, of course, agriculture, but they include, precious metals, energy, stock market, oil, crude oil, those kind of things. 48 different commodities. So I say this to kind of give an idea, and I did just before coming on the air, looked at year to date. Now that we start this 4th quarter, where do live cattle and feeder cattle stand on this list of 48 year-to-date as far as their performance? By the way on top of that list is cocoa, and that has been out in the lead. If you invested in cocoa New Year's, you'd be very happy with the performance, and it continues. Number 1 by far. Number 2, orange juice. A lot of that, unfortunately, has to do with the loss of crops and not so much the demand, but orange juice really most of the year as well has been a close second to orange juice. Coffee is number 3rd. So where do we go to find a agricultural-related commodity? We have to go down to number 11, and we find oats here, about 10-12% for the year in the plus side. Down to live cattle, the first of our cattle and feeder cattle, oats number 11, live cattle number 13, up right around 10% for the year. And then feeder cattle, number 18 on the list, up 4.5% again year to date. Fun to watch that here as we month to month and then now year to date as we begin this fourth quarter. Well, closing out here, looking at live cattle and feeder cattle on the board, December live cattle looking a little toppy, at least here near term in our view. We look back to June through July, 185 to 187 was pretty good support. And then, of course, the bottom fell out right there early in August, climbing back ever since. So we're back to near 185, 187. It might be a tough area to get through, but again, the futures, December futures, done a good job of rebounding from those lows that we saw in all through August and early September. Now, as far as January feeder cattle, hey, a similar story there. Support for the longest time was above the 250 level until about the 1st of August, and took a nosedive there, climbing back ever since. Now, so 245, 247 within reach, not today, maybe not this week, but certainly during the month of October, get back toward that 245, maybe up to around 247. We hope that's helpful. A little long here today, but as always, as we close, wishing everyone a profitable week ahead.
And thank you, Mark, and we appreciate that. All the updates on better cattle and all the opportunity with the agriculture. You know, I got to tell you, Merle, we talked about this guy. His name's Rex Buckman at the Bar U Ranch in the Flint Hills, who's going to give us our horse tip of the week.
Welcome to Better Horses. My name is Rex Buckman from the Bar U Ranch in the Flint Hills, and I'm here to bring you the horse tip of the day. The title of our tip today is Carry-Ons, what you should take with you and what you should leave at home. So how many of y'all have gone on a trip and come home and looked at all the stuff you packed that you didn't need and wondered why in the world you spent time packing it? Well, here's the deal. When you get on a horse, the things you bring with you, if they're necessary, you need to bring them. But if they're not necessary, sometimes they can cause risk to you or your horse. For example, I'm a cowboy, so I pack a rope a lot. But if I'm not going to rope a cow, I don't pack it. That rope is just something extra for me to tangle my reins in and get in my way. The other thing I want to talk about is how you carry the stuff that you carry. So when I put my rope on my saddle, I tie it to the saddle horn with something that'll break. So in case I get caught in it, it's going to come loose. Now, the next thing I want to talk about are your personables. Like, you might want to take a camera, or you might want to take a water jug, or you might want to take binoculars, or if you have blood sugar issues, you might need to take food. So you need to think about what you're going to do. Are we going for a 2-hour ride? I probably don't need to pack an extra pair of shoes. That's kind of an exaggeration, but I see it all the time when people come and ride with me. They come walking up with great big backpacks full of junk that they don't need for a 2-hour ride. So don't take anything you don't need, and think about what you're not going to need to leave home. The other thing I want to talk about, and then I want to double back and say the same thing, how you carry it with you is an issue. So I don't like riding with a backpack. I need to have my weight forward and balanced. And if I've got a big heavy thing hanging on my shoulders, it impedes my riding. So the other thing is, think about this. If I come off, what am I going to land on? So like this past summer, we had a customer that had an inordinately large fanny pack. She had it fastened around her waist. She fell off the horse. When she fell off the horse, she fell on the fanny pack, and the fanny pack broke 6 of her ribs. So what you attach to your body may be what you fall on if you happen to fall. So my recommendation is tie it to the horse. Hang it on the saddle horn, put it in a saddlebag, secure it in the back of the saddle, so that God forbid, if something happens, it's not something you'll fall on. I carry a knife on my belt. And a friend of mine said, you need to quit that. Someday you're going to get bucked off, land on your hip, and it's going to leave a big old bruise. And it happened. But I still carry my knife on my belt because it's something that I need. But if it's not something you need, put it on the saddle, not on your person. Another thing is be careful what you tie to a horse. Horses are naturally scared of everything, So if you're going to tie a big old floppy hat on the end of a saddle string that the wind's going to catch and blow it up in his face, that's a safety issue. Especially if you're on a horse that you don't know how he's going to respond. If you tie something that terrifies a horse to the horse, there's no telling how far he's going to run or how hard he's going to buck trying to get rid of that thing that's tied to him that he can't get rid of. So my safety is my focus on all of our Dude Ranch events. And so I just want to encourage everyone to think about what you take with you. Do you need it? If you don't need it, leave it home. It's not gonna help your ride any. And then be careful how you carry it. Tie it to the horse, not to you. And make sure what you tie to the horse isn't going to scare him. Thank you for listening. I'm Rex Bookman of the Bayou Ranch, and we hope you'll continue to listen to Better Horses.
And we appreciate that, Rex. Always a guy that if you're going out there in the middle of 1,000 acres of virgin tall grass, he's the guy you want to ride with. So with that in mind, Merle, we have a great show coming your way. I want everybody to stay with us. My name's Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we'll be right back right after these messages.
Get quality you can stand on. Hoof Grip is the proprietary formula that provides shock absorption for your animals with no ice buildup, slipping, cracking, or sogginess, making it the safest, most comfortable, and maintenance-free flooring on the market. Hoof Grip installs quickly and easily over existing surfaces, is easy to clean, and withstands extreme heat or cold. From vet offices to barns, wash racks to trailers and more. Visit hoofgrip.com to find a dealer in your area today.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
Routine dental examination and treatments are essential for high-quality horse care. To prevent potential problems, a horse's mouth should be examined at least once a year. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins, Equine Field Service Veterinarian at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. We can examine the mouth and provide a treatment plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
And welcome back to Better Horses. We're so glad you're staying with us. Merle, this is going to be another great show where we're going to go into different types of disciplines.
I say it every week. This show is like a box of chocolates, man. You never know what's coming up next,
You know what? Coming up, and this segment is brought to you by Kleinschmidt's Western Wear. And if you're looking to get yourself all geared up with Western apparel, check out kleinboot.com. That's Kleinschmidt's in Higginsville, Missouri at kleinboot.com. Okay, coming up. Marshall Performance Horses. Now, this is Seth Marshall, and he's been training showing for over 20 years. His foundation of success is, Merle, it's a variety of disciplines, including dressage, eventing, show jumping, and working equitation. Wow. He's located and operates in Kansas, but he's also living in Oklahoma. Keep in mind, he has an equine facility, but he also raises cattle, and he also raises hay crops. So, welcome aboard to Better Horses Radio, Seth Marshall. Hello, Seth.
Hi, glad to be here.
Hey, thank you for joining Better Horses. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot about training and about horses and what you're doing in the clinician and training and instructor category. But can you tell our listening audience, can you walk us through the discipline of working equitation?
Yeah, absolutely. So working equitation is really a competition developed for field work. and fieldwork related activities. So in Europe, with their cattle working traditions, they wanted a way to test their horses against one another. So think very similar to our, cutting here in America or reining, stuff like that. And what they developed was a 4-phase sport where they test them on the flat in the dressage class, and they, score that accordingly. And then they have ease of handling, which is where you demonstrate the ease that you can move your horse through the obstacles. Then they have speed, which is strictly based on time and time penalties. And then the 4th phase is the cattle trial, which works similar to what you see in team pinning here in the U.S.
I love the fact that you said in Europe category. So you've also done international clinicians and you're a Judge Canada over there. Talk to me about the European Championship working equitation. You were just there. So walk us through that and what that experience was like when you were there.
Yeah, so I went to watch the European Championship, and it was held in the Czech Republic this year. And it was 41 of the top horse rider pairs in Europe, and really elite of the sport. Got to see some top quality horsemanship and top quality horses. And not only that, it was a great opportunity to be a spectator. They put on a wonderful competition. All the sound, all the display, evening events and entertainment, the whole bit.
Yeah, Seth, I've judged over there in Germany a couple times, and it's so totally different than horse shows around here. Can you tell us, like they have start times, is that what you did? Is that kind of the horse show you went to?
Yes. So they have all of this scheduled out and published, posted. And then when they get started in the morning, they, start with sound, start with music, and that just runs through the whole day, really. And so they have start times for everyone for each of the phases. And they had a really amazing announcer who was actually from Germany and did a really good job of keeping us informed of who was in the ring and what was going on, what was coming up next, and really put on a good show.
There's so much energy like compared to how we run horse shows over here. And I wish everybody could go experience that once. So I appreciate you bringing that in.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that some here, but I think it's really reserved for like our championship shows. And I think rodeo does usually a better job of kind of bringing that in for the spectators. But I would really like to see more of that in the working equitation. And it's definitely something that I took home, coming back with that in shows that I'm going to be a part of helping organize and whatnot. I will definitely be wanting to lean into that some more.
You being in Northeast Oklahoma, and how is the working equitation foundation growing here in the Midwest? And if somebody wanted to get into it, what's their best way to get a hold of somebody that does working equitation and finding out how you can get into the clinics and the competitions?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is growing rapidly all over the U.S. And we see bigger numbers in the West Coast primarily, but it is fast growing everywhere. We've had one national association since 2020. And since all of our smaller organizations have come together and formed one organization, the growth has just been explosive. And if you're looking to get into working equitation, there's two things I recommend. The first one, go see a competition, because we see it on Facebook and Instagram and it looks wonderful and we are enamored. And to go see it in person, I think is even better. So it'll finish getting you hooked and it'll show you what the sport is. And then the second thing you can do is you can look for a professional instructor in your area. So you can go on the usawe.org website, and we have a list of professional instructors through our organization. It's kind of a short list at the moment, but it should be growing. And those are people who have been recognized as an instructor for working equitation. So that's somewhere you can go look.
And Seth, you've got such a variety of disciplines that you do. I mean, dressage, eventing, show jumping. How did you get into the working equitation? What was the process like?
Yeah, so let me try and make a long story short. I actually grew up in Western riding and colt starting and roping wild cattle for people. So that's where I originated from. And it was in my early teenage years that I transitioned over into jumping and then later dressage, and met my wife doing the English riding disciplines. And so, having a working background where we actually go out and accomplish work with horses is part of the foundation. And so then moving over and trying to round out my horsemanship and become a better rider in dressage and jumping, really, I felt like working equitation, when we found it, really brought all of that together, if that makes sense. And my wife was actually the first one to see working equitation as the wonderful sport that it is. And funnily enough, I fought her for 4 or 5 years. No, I don't need that. I don't need that new sport. It's fine. I don't need it. And I took a young warm blood that I had at the time and took him to a small show. And honestly, it kind of kicked us both in the teeth. So it was harder than I expected. My horse, who was doing well and riding nice, young horse, he really struggled at different times in the competition, and it really kind of opened my eyes to oh wow, there's more to this. And of course, that challenge encouraged me to be better at it, and somewhere along the way, I got hooked. And I definitely think it's the best combination I've seen in a horse sport anytime recently, to combine the horsemanship and the classical riding and the working with your horse aspect, which is missing from a lot of horse sports currently.
And if you're just joining us, we're talking to Seth Marshall at Marshall Performance Horses, located in Oklahoma. He's an international clinician, trainer, and instructor, and he's also located in Northeast Oklahoma. And Seth, I know you just confessed that Michelle is actually your wife and she's running most of your business, but I know you're training a lot of difficult horses and classical dressage. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you or get in touch with you about your clinics and how to get to that next level in working equitation, where should they go?
Yeah, absolutely. My website is marshallperformancehorses.com. They can reach me through the website. They can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. We're, of course, there as well. And I actually have a podcast called Everything Working Equitation. So if they are interested in listening in and getting kind of a picture about working equitation, maybe along with a few funny stories, they can check us out there.
That's perfect. Well, I'll tell you what, Seth, we want to thank you for joining us. We'd love to have you come back on board and talk to us about working equitation. And also would like to see you on our Better Horses TV so that we can get a real good feel of what that's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great.
Thank you for joining us. Everyone, that's Seth Marshall at Marshall Performance Horses. Merle, that is something that we have to get into. It's going to be working equitation. And I know you're smiling.
I'd at least like to watch it. I don't know that I'm quite ready to participate yet.
Well, Seth has been great. Now, he currently is teaching and he focuses in on the mastery of the fundamentals. So riding with Seth is really going to strengthen our equine partnership. So I think we really ought to attack him. Hey, I want everyone to stay with us. We're going to have more Better Horses and talking all about the equine industry and the agricultural industry. And coming up, we're going to talk about Texas fires. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we'll be right back right after these words. Welcome back to Better Horses. So glad you stayed with us. As we talked about, this next segment is going to be brought to you by the John Deere Heritage Tractor. If you're looking for any type of John Deere tractors in Kansas, Missouri, or in Arkansas, do us a favor and check out heritagetractor.com. Hey, you know what, Merle? We always have an opportunity to ask people to help out in very natural, Mother Nature type devastating events, but we never follow up to see how everybody recovered. And I think we're going to change that today.
Yeah, no, this will be a good segment. I think this will be interesting.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to set the stage. So beginning of this year, there was a Smokehouse Creek fire that began on February 26th, and it's burned over an estimate of 1.1 million acres, not only in Texas, but in Oklahoma. And it has become the second largest fire in U.S. history. And what was amazing about this is the amount of Texas A&M Forest Services that had to be deployed, 95 firefighters that came out, bulldozers, motor grades have come out. The Texas Division of Emergency Management came out. The Texas National Guard came out. The Texas Department of Transportation and the State Health Services all came out with their personnel and their equipment and their road closures and everything that was needed to get that done. The Department of Public Safety, the Texas Highway Patrol, they assisted all the road closures, and the AgriLife Extension Disaster Assessment Area came out. And it's very important to add that over 10,000 head of cattle died in this fire. And it was amazing where all hands on deck had to react in such a quick manner. So what we did is we went ahead, and joining us today, he's a wrangler, he's a cowboy. Well, doggone it, he's just a good ranch hand. And he was located in Allison, Texas, where he was born. He went to Panhandle State University in Oklahoma, in Goodwell, Oklahoma. He currently resides in Briscoe, Texas. And a guy that's going to give us an update of what happened in the Smokehouse Creek fires is Levi Swafford. Levi, thank you for joining Better Horses.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all. Thank you for having me.
Well, we appreciate it. Now, Levi, I know you're currently working for the Paytom Ranches over there, and that's a big, big area. Can you kind of walk us through, you spent your whole life at the Panhandle in Texas and in Oklahoma, what that fire was like and how devastating it was in those areas?
By far, one of the most devastating things I've ever seen in my life. The total loss. I was really lucky. It got pretty much everything on the place I lived on, except for what I mowed with a lawnmower. Didn't get any barns, didn't get the house, but everything outside of what I would consider my yard, it got. But when I say I was lucky in that I was on the very tail end of that fire. I was just in a finger. If it would have went a mile either direction from me, it would have completely missed me. But I didn't lose anything that didn't grow back. But as you go further north, get up into Canadian and the outlying areas there, several houses, lots of barns, and lots of livestock. And then just the days after that were even as bad, if not worse. Once we got the fire contained, it just continued to get worse in that was our windy season. We get a lot of wind in this area, but it just continued to get worse, and we're very sandy soil. As grass did try and grow back, we might have 2 or 3 still days. Grass would start coming, and then we'd get a 40, 50 mile an hour wind day, 20, 24 hours of it, and it'd burn it right back off. The sand would just tear that grass back out and clean the country right back off. And we went through that for a good probably 45 days before some grass was able to take hold, at least kind of slowing some of that down. And then it was probably another 30 days before the weeds really filled in the bare spots between the clump grass and got that shut down.
And Levi, Ed said in the beginning, over 1 million acres were burned. What were some of the challenges that you and others faced in trying to manage livestock and protect your property?
I guess I don't necessarily know where to start, but ahead of that fire, where I live, we were 70 miles from where that fire started. And we actually got paged out that morning. On that Monday morning, we got paged out to LaFours, which is about 35 miles to the south. And we went to a pretty bad fire down there, stayed on it until the next day. The next morning, about probably 11 o'clock, we finally got it shut down and contained. And then they released us. When they released us from that fire and we started heading home, we were dispatched to Canadian to help protect town. The fire hadn't gotten there yet, but it had worked its way across, headed east across there. Well, we got to Canadian and still had no house. Where I lived at the time was about 35 miles southeast of Canadian, and we had no idea and no concern that fire was coming there. We expected to get a hold of it around Canadian and didn't, but if we didn't, we were still expecting it to stay on the north side of the river and work across. And we got a wind shift a little sooner than we were prepared for, and it cut south of town. It wound up going all the way around Canadian, but we had a pretty bad line of fire that came south, and that's what finally made it down to us. that's what made this fire so hard to fight, was that there were so many departments on it, but that head fire was so big that nobody could really fight together. We were all kind of on our own, and we had guys, trying to get livestock moved that weren't aware that they needed to prior. That sounds bad, but I mean, we do have a lot of fires in the spring. We all know it. We all kind of take some precautions, but there's no way to be prepared for a once in a lifetime event. And so a lot of these guys weren't quite, they were prepared, but not on the level that we needed to be. Nobody expected it to get this far out of hand. So there was a lot of rushing around there, and a lot of guys were able to get cattle out in our area. They were able to get cattle to some safe places, get cattle pinned, get them in some areas with less vegetation on it where that fire could either run through them fast. It sent, got some hair singe, stuff like that, but really were able to get that out, them taken care of, get their horses loaded, get them out. But as you go further north, you get into that Canadian area, you start running into a lot bigger country, bigger ranches, bigger pastures, and it just wasn't an option. And that's where a lot of the loss and a lot of the devastation as far as livestock goes comes in. It just wasn't an option to get that stuff gathered up. Some of those pastures will take 4 to 5 hours to gather, and at best you might get one gathered in front of that deal. And because it was so widespread, there wasn't anybody to help. Everybody was kind of on their own in that, and so you couldn't get the help to get stuff gathered and get it gathered quickly. We were just kind of at the mercy of it.
And if you're just joining us, we're talking to Wrangler Levi Swafford, who's talking about the Smokehouse Creek fire that was going on February 26th, finally got it under control in mid-March or the end of March, considered one of the second largest fires in U.S. history, killing over 10,000 head of cattle. Levi, we want to thank a lot of people for stepping up, helping out with these fires. And can you kind of take away, how is it rebounding, and is the cattle coming on? How's the ground? How's the grass? And how's that coming back?
Cattle wise, there's still a lot of this country still doesn't have cows on it. Just a lot of these guys are going to take care of their grass. They've done that in the past. The cattle that left the country, there's some coming back. But the guys that were able to, that saved some cows and were able to get them shipped out, I expect they'll probably sit on them till the first of the year, and that somewhere's in there. They'll start bringing back before they go to calving, but they're going to let this ground rest as long as they can. We have been lucky. We haven't had an overabundance of rain, but we've had some rain. All this country's covered back pretty good. We did grow a lot of weeds, but if you can grow weeds, that'll eventually get back to grass. They'll at least hold that ground down. But it has come back really well. Some places better than others, but overall our forage has come back good. It's sad to say, but this country's burned a lot. We've had a lot of fires in this area, and it does. It comes back. It rebounds good. One of the greatest things that made all of that possible, as far as guys getting cattle out, Texas A&M stepped in, but a lot, just an outpouring of individuals showing up to help. Be it hay, feed, labor. There's been fencing crews show up to help get places fenced, and the response was immediate. We were about 18 hours into that fire, and I was still in a truck fighting, and started getting phone calls with guys that had loads of hay headed our way and wanted to know where to take it to. Like I said, we hadn't even got the fire put out yet, and already had donations coming in, and a lot of them.
I think that's the key right there and we do not give enough credit to Texas A&M and their AgriLife Extension Services out there that did a remarkably good job. But as we mentioned it too at the beginning of the segment, so many departments of Texas and the National Guard, the transportation, the public safety groups. Merle, this is why we pay our taxes. At the end of the day, I'd like to thank Levi Swafford, our wrangler out there in Briscoe, Texas, not only for fighting the Smokehouse Creek fire, but actually sustaining and staying out there and being a good horseman and being a good cattleman. Levi, thank you for joining Better Horses.
Yes, thank y'all.
Merle, that was wrapping it up. I think that's really important that we touch base on these guys. And the ground, as he said, is recovering. It's a slow recovery, but I'm sure there's a lot of farmers out there and ranchers out there that need a lot of help still.
Yes, a lot of challenges I didn't even think about. So I was glad to hear that.
And we'd like everybody to stay with Better Horses as Merle and I get a chance to talk in our next segment, something that's near and dear to our heart, a famous show, which is called the Color Breed Congress. We'll be right back in just a few moments. I'm Ed Adams.
I'm Merle Arbo.
Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dylan Luter, a specialist in equine performance medicine at the Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. Our new service focuses on lameness diagnosis, advanced imaging, physical therapy, and regenerative medicine for horses with injuries preventing them from performing at their best. We can treat a variety of conditions and design a customized rehabilitation plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
Hi, I'm Tommy with Heritage Tractor. Whether you're looking to maintain your yard or your whole ranching operation, Heritage Tractor has John Deere mower and tractor packages that make work fly by. With a variety of horsepower and attachment configurations, we have a package to best fit your needs and budget. To learn more about these exclusive packages, visit us in store or online at heritagetractor.com.
Legendary products, extraordinary service, that's our heritage.
Established in 1956, the Pinto Horse Association of America was formed to welcome all types of equines and maintain their show records and pedigrees. PTHA currently has over 88,000 members with 157,000 registered pintos. There are currently 3 separate registries: the Color Registry, the Solid Registry, and the Long Ear Registry. We welcome all levels of competition within a family-friendly environment. Become a member, register, and add value to your horse. For more information, check out the website pintoworld.com.
Get quality you can stand on. Hoof Grip is the proprietary formula that provides shock absorption for your animals with no ice buildup, slipping, cracking, or sogginess, making it the safest, most comfortable, and maintenance-free flooring on the market. Hoof Grip installs quickly and easily over existing surfaces, is easy to clean, and withstands extreme heat or cold. From vet offices to barns, wash racks to trailers and more. Visit hoofgrip.com to find a dealer in your area today.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
It's time to go with United Mosquito and Fly Control's premier fly system for fly control in your barn, providing relief for horses from the stress of fighting flies, and also makes the barn more pleasant for everyone in the barn. Easy, effective, and safe. With United Mosquito and Fly Control, we provide a full service. You as the barn owner don't have to do anything. We go everywhere and take care of everything with our friendly fast service. Call today at 913-558-3814 or email Paul at unitedmosquito.com.
Welcome back to Better Horses, and we appreciate you staying with us as we get to talk about the equine industry every week. Probably my favorite time of the week. Merle, yours too?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I enjoy visiting with everybody, and hopefully our listeners are learning a little bit too.
Yeah, it's one of the segment is brought to you by the Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, and we appreciate them coming on board. Now, next, we get to talk about something really special. You've been riding your horses all year. What do we do next? Well, we're going to talk to you about the Color Breed Congress coming in 2024. This is going to be November 1st through the 9th, and we have the team had put it all together. Starting off with Daryl Bilkey, the Executive Vice President, COO of the Pinto Horse Association, and we're going to have Jenna Henson, Director of Marketing and Communications, and the girl who's doing all the heavy lifting, Kim Hall, the executive assistant of the World Show operations and the judges and all the logistics. Merle, we got these 3 talented people. Welcome aboard, Daryl, Jenna, and Kim.
And thank you for having us aboard. We appreciate it.
You know, Daryl, I'm going to start with you. And one of the things we all get to talk about is the Color Breed Congress. And this is going to be in Tulsa, and it's going to be an all-breed horse show coming on. And we want to make sure we pull that November 1st through the 9th. Daryl, putting a show like this together, which is considered one of a very large show and a fun show that you don't have to qualify for, what are some of the great benefits and things that you like to do since you've been running this show for so long?
And this has been a great show. We was very blessed and was tickled to be able to put this concept together when we added the Palominas and the Buckskins and the Pintos and the Long Years and the NSBA, and now we have got the Cash for Color group, for another fraternity group with us. Also the Go for Gold, which was an old fraternity in Tulsa that's back with us. Now the WCHA, the World Conformation Halter Horse, is coming in with their Weenland Yellow Rose division. So we've got a lot of extra things that's going on during this Color Breed Congress. So lots of activity taking place.
Well, and Jenna, you're the Director of Marketing and Communications for Pinto. With such a diverse range of breeds and classes, how do you keep this event appealing to a wide range of exhibitors and attendees?
I would say we just focus on driving back to our membership, because you do not have to qualify. You just have to have a current membership and your horse is registered with us. And it's a good time of the year. Normally the weather can still be nice, but we're kind of closing down that final show season. We also are catering about 600 classes. So we also want to let everyone know that there is a class available for everyone, youth, amateur, pro. So that's kind of what our focus is.
You know, Kim, we talked, Kim Hall, executive assistant over there. She does all the heavy lifting. I'm actually kind of serious about this. Logistically, this is really a very well-run show, and the judges are outstanding. Kim, when you put this together, I think one of the big, great pulls of this type of show is that everything runs so smoothly. But that's behind the scenes. You got a lot of work to do.
Yes, it does, because we have 3 arenas going at the same time every day. But we do have our judges organized. We have 4 judges in each arena, along with their ring stewards to keep them moving and keep everything organized within each arena. So it takes a lot of staff to do it. But as long as everybody stays in their box and does their own job, then the show runs well.
Hey, Daryl, it's no secret you and I go way back, and we've been around the block a time or two. But can you give our listeners a little bit of the background on what makes this event unique in the horse industry? I mean, I remember it when it was the Pinto Congress. So where did this idea come, and how did you grow this?
Well, it started out as a Pinto Congress and trying to have a nice show and a nice facility. And I think Tulsa is probably the premier facility to have a horse show. There's a cost factor there that makes that thing work. And we, the Pintos, you know, we're kind of one of the smaller breed associations, as is Palomina and Buckskin and some of the other breeds. And we all want to have a nice fall event, because everyone has their own world show in the summer, which is a great event. And I didn't want to schedule an event on top of someone's world show to take away from their world titles. But so we thought if we could just all band together in the fall and have a nice event, and it has worked. You know, it gives a nice place for the Palomina people, the Buckskin people, the Pinto people, now the Long Ear people, NSBA, all the different events. And it's just a nice time of the year to let everyone come for their last hoorah, basically, before the end of the year. And the people that's hauling for the high point in the nation and each breed, it gives them another nice event to come to kind of secure that high point of whatever they're chasing in their breed. So sure, it's just worked out perfect for all of us, you know.
And if you're just joining us, we're talking about the 2024 Color Breed Congress. And with us today, we have Daryl Bilkey, the COO, Jenna Henson, Director of Marketing, and Kim Hall is the Executive Assistant. Daryl, I got to throw this at you. With so many classes coming your way, you keep bringing in more and more type classes. Can you talk to us about Going for the Gold?
Going for the Gold, that fraternity has been established, and Merle could probably help me there. I know that fraternity has been established, started out with the Oklahoma Palomina group. It has to be probably a 40-year-old fraternity program that's based off of stallions, and they've always been with the Palomina, and then they moved over to the Buckskins, and they've decided to move in with us in November, basically for a good time, because the main thing there is their weanlings, and a lot of times trying to show a weanling baby in August is tough because they're still on their mother. Now they're weaned and they're bigger, stronger colts, so it's looking good for us to just get that group of people in and that old established fraternity.
Yeah, to Go for the Gold, I think that's an exciting move for them. That's been probably the best kept secret for me, you know, like it's such a great futurity, and it's one of the few sire nominated futurities left for, you know, the probably the smaller and mid-range breeder. So I'm excited to see that there. Kim, it's not too late to get entered. Can you tell our listeners how they can go about entering their horse, and what if their horse isn't registered? How can they go start this process to get to the Color Breed Congress this year?
Sure. All of our forms and our schedule is up on our website at colorbreedcongress.com, or you can go through our other website is pinto.org, and all the forms are there. Just fill them out, your stall forms, and send them in, and we'll get you registered.
And Jenna, this is going to be 9 days long of lots of disciplines going out. How many classes are we talking here?
I believe we have 631 total, and we also are featuring our long ears, so our mules and donkeys are welcome at Color Breed Congress as well.
This is by far and my favorite event and my client's favorite event, and we're always looking forward to it. It's fun to be able to show the different breeds all together. Like you can bring the whole barn if you're a trainer, and there's a class for everybody. I want to thank you guys for putting the show together, especially on behalf of the smaller color breeds. And do you have any exciting twist or I know the exhibitor part is always popular. What do you got in store for us this year?
I think Jenna's got a youth deal. She's going to throw it out to you a little.
Yes, Tuesday evening of November 5th, we are having a youth pizza party, also called Youth Equine Leaders Day. It is open to all color breed youth. We're going to have everyone come together for a pizza party, and then we are also going to let the presidents come in, speak for a minute, and then we have Mary Ruth from the Oklahoma State Department of Agriculture, who's going to be our speaker for the evening. And then after, we're going to have a team building activity or a social media activity for the kids to get to interact, and it's going to be a fun time.
Excellent. Well, that's the 2024 Color Breed Congress. I know you've been riding your horses all year long, so we highly encourage you to take a look at this at theColorBreedCongress.com. It's November 1st through the 9th. It's going to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Daryl Bilkey, Jenna Henson, and Kim Hall, we want to thank you for joining us here at Better Horses. And as always, we thank you for what you guys do, putting on one of the best shows right out here in the Midwest.
Ed, one last thing. If they make it to the horse show, our special at the horse show is they might get the opportunity to meet and greet the Better Horses staff there and get their autograph. We got celebrities coming for autographs, so the Better Horses staff will be there to autograph.
Well, I want our listening audience to know we did not pay him to say that. So
no, he'll bill us later.
So we're looking forward to having you guys with us.
You bet. The 2024 Color Breed Congress coming November 1st through the 9th in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Be sure and register and get out there. And even at the last minute, you're welcome to come on out and they'll get you all squared away for this event. Merle, this has been something that you and I are going to be. We're looking forward to seeing you there. And more importantly, you got to really get your horses legged up.
Oh yeah, we're taking a bunch of horses, and Susie will be there competing also. So,
and you know, Merle, one thing we do have to mention is that the Color Breed Congress has over $200,000 in prizes that are going to be given out during that time of the 9 days.
Oh, they're great prizes and a lot of fun.
High Point Awards. It'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully you check it out, Color Breed Congress. Hey, that's our show. And I got to tell you, I appreciate Merle, you joining me. And this has been one good show about all about horses and some of the challenges and some of the great things we can do with our horses.
Yeah. Well, you know, and it's all livestock and stuff too. I mean, we kind of try to hit everything. So glad to have everybody on the show today.
You know, we don't appreciate everybody that's working very hard in the horse industry. We like to take time out. We like to highlight them and keep everybody motivated as possible. So to listen to this show again, or if you happen to miss any of our other shows, I want you to check us out on our podcast just by typing in betterhorses.com.
And don't forget to look for the Better Horses newspaper. The fall edition is coming out with a lot of great tips and tricks for horses and riders.
And, you know, our website is betterhorses.com, but you can also have an opportunity to see us on our TV show being carried by RFD, the Cowboy Channel, and streaming on Equus TV.
Well, I want to give a special thanks to the team behind the scenes, our radio producer, Brianna Johnson, and our TV producer, Kelly Creech, and of course, all of our sponsors.
And that wraps it up for this week. Merle, I want to thank you for joining me. And I want to let all of you good buckaroos and buckarettes to mind your mom and dads. Be brave, but don't take any chances out there. Until next time, I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
Happy trails, and always ride for the brand.